You are listening to a podcast by Last Minute Crack with your host, me, Christina Hamilton. Last Minute Crack is your one-stop shop for all things arts and culture in Dublin City. For more information, check out our website at lastminutecrack.com or visit us on Instagram at lastminutecrack. A special thank you to Thibaut Kemoret for his help with the sound and for the music on this intro. Another thank you goes out to Zoe Spillane for her help managing the page. And now for your episode. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Music Maker. We're here with two very special guests. We have Jimbo over here. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
And we have Julie. Nice to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too.
So I don't know if you have an intro that you have for yourself, if you want to give that a go, or
Intro. Yes,
ta-da.
I do. Yeah. So I think I started liking poetry when I was real young in primary school. So the story goes, my teacher was sick. We all got split into groups of three, sent around the school. We got into the older class, and they were doing poetry at the time. And the poem that you're reading out was William Wordsworth, Daffodils.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah, so it was like, when my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. And I was only that high, and I was kind of, whoa, look at this is crazy. So ever since then, I started writing poetry. So I always liked to rhyme and have poems about the 27 bus, about doing my communion. When I got a bit older then, my whole routine was I'd go out, get a bit drunk, go home, scribble down a poem, next day kind of decipher it, and then eventually I was able to write a book from that. Then I sent that book off to the president. He still sends me Christmas cards the odd time.
Oh,
I actually have a Paddy's Day card with me if you want to have a look at it.
we will. We'll show it to the camera in a bit,
Yeah.
but I love that.
And then during lockdown, I got it into my head. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do another poetry type thing. So again, filled with whiskey, and then I was doing everything. So I have all the poems. I stuck jazz tracks behind it, and then you have jazz poetry. So when everything opened back up, I think the first open mic I went to was the Flow Show. And ever since then, I was kind of just going to more and more shows, doing everything. So that's kind of where it's progressed. And then eventually I'm hosting Dublin's Finest now.
I love that. And how do you feel? I think there's a misconception, or maybe just a kind of a thing, where poetry can be seen as such a kind of upper class stuffy thing that's not accessible. Because when you think of the old poets, like, I don't know, Edgar Allan Poe is the one that comes to my mind for some reason. But you think of all this classic poetry tradition, you wouldn't think that, it's just as easy as kind of just, just feeling the vibe and writing things out. How do you feel, about that, I guess?
I think it's kind of gone through a bit of a rebrand. Like I notice a lot of people that call themselves spoken word artists, which sounds a lot cooler than poet.
Yeah.
As soon as you tell someone you're a poet, they're kind of like, all right. But you say, I'm into spoken words. Like, oh yeah, that's like a bit of that, yeah. So that's gone through a bit of a rebrand. I never thought of it as kind of an upper class, lower class thing. Everyone can write a poem. So everyone should write a poem.
I agree with that completely. And there's so many good poets in this space, I think. We have Leon Dunn, we have Emmett O'Brien, we have so many other. The coffee hasn't kicked in yet, but so many others. But there's a really great scene, and I'm wondering, how does one get into doing that? Is it as simple as just writing something down and turning up, or how does that work?
It definitely is. That's all that it is. Like the Flow Show, I was told about that from a friend that played basketball with Dave, and they're like, she's doing an open mic, you should go to that. Went to that. Then the We Are Griot people, they have the Talkatives Poetry Slam.
Yes.
That's when I went. It was in Merrion Square, and I was completely out of my depth because everyone rocked up and they were all talking to each other. They were like, oh yeah, how are you getting on with this? Yeah. And I was sitting there, it was the first time being around a group of them. But then after the fact, Ryan Duggins came up to me at the end. He's like, oh yeah, you have to go to the circus sessions. You have to go to Smithfield Creatives, do all this. So as long as you just keep going to those things, your circle gets bigger. And then you just keep getting invited to places. My good advice is follow these people online. Get on their radar by liking one or two of their things. And then that's literally it.
That's it. I mean, shout out to Ryan Duggins and the Poetry is Dead podcast.
Poetry is Dead.
I love it. Shout out. I'm interested. Yeah, I think what you said there is so true. The scene is so welcoming in Dublin. It is very much a rock up and say hello, and then you're on your way. You kind of get swept up in it a little bit. I think. I want to talk to you about your brand.
Oh yes.
Make Ireland Grand Again. Where did that come from?
Do you want to know that the whole story came from, right? I didn't like Trump at the very start. I was on the same page as everyone else, and then I started kind of getting he can't be that bad. He can't be the worst thing ever. So I ended up following other people that were saying he's going to win. So I ended up betting money on him. and I ended up winning money from him. And ever since then, I was kind of like, he's actually okay. He won me a bit of money. So then I got my hats made up. The first original ones were green ones that actually had Make Ireland Great Again on it. And I thought it was amazing. I showed my sister, and the first thing she looked at, she goes, "Oh, Make Ireland Grand Again." I was like, "It doesn't say that, but it definitely should." So then after that, I was like, get rid of the caps, get the book of hats going.
Yeah.
So then I got a luminous green book of hats with Make Ireland Grand Again on it. We went down to Electric Picnic, and me and all the group of friends that I was with were all wearing these luminous hats, which was amazing because they'd be all the way over the far side of the field, and you just be able to spot them there. They let us through the turnstiles without even checking us. They were just like, "Oh, you are obviously okay." And ever since then, people have just been reaching out, trying to buy them. So I think it's a good time to, could I give you a gift?
Oh my God. I can't believe it. I'm getting some merch. This is real. Our first show, and we're getting merch.
I'm giving you a few bits, so that's for you.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, that's deadly. Hold on. I'm going to ruin our audio, but I think that looks pretty nice.
And I got the new stuff as well. So
oh,
I don't know if you're
nice.
smoking or not, but
I light a lot of candles.
Burn incense, so.
That's deadly.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much. Okay, well, this is my outfit for the rest of this.
So it's kind of grown legs of its own. So these hats have been seen in Canada, Australia. I just love people sending me pictures and then sticking it on the website.
I love it. And it's a great message, I think. But it is quite funny because I remember meeting you, I think, for the first time, and you were wearing a red cap that said, Make Ireland Grand Again. And from a distance, I went, oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, now people look at this. Oh, okay. No, you're actually all right then, yeah.
Brilliant. All right, Julie, I want to say hello to you.
Hello.
How are you doing?
How are you? I'm doing very well.
Good. Do you have an intro that you'd like to say about yourself, or will we just get down into it?
Well, yeah. I suppose I talk about how I got into.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm an artist and a photographer, and I got into the scene with Jimbo through Emmett O'Brien.
Amazing.
So
shout out Emmett.
Yeah, shout out Emmett. So he's the creator of Dublin's Finest. Dublin's Finest is his baby, and he trusted me with making the posters for it. So I kind of helped him a little bit with the creative direction of it. But I was living in Galway at the time, and despite that, even though I was really far away, he still would make me feel really included in the scene.
I love that.
And then it was beautiful. And then I'd go to Smithfield Creatives that Adam Kelly runs. And everyone there was just so kind and supportive, and it was just a really nice experience within the music and poetry scene to have a space that was so nurturing for poets and creatives alike. And I kind of felt like I shouldn't be involved in that scene because I'm not a poet or I'm not a musician, but despite that, they all made me feel like I was welcome there, and I made so many friends through it, through just attending these nights. So, yeah. Then Emmett moved away to Canada, and boo. He's back now, thank God. We missed him so much.
Our collective yearning brought him back.
Yeah. So yeah, he moved away, and then he entrusted Jimbo with the night. And then I said I'd help out as well. So I'm in charge of, now I'm kind of in charge of booking the musicians, and then Jimbo books the poets, and Jimbo MCs the night, and I take photos and I do all the online content. And
I love it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your photography kind of stuff for a minute. Sounds because good. So part of my research for this project is that I go through everybody's Instagram all the way to the bottom.
Oh,
so
no.
if you're coming on, watch out. But I'm really interested in people's developments as creatives and artists and just as people as well. Yeah. And I see that you went through a lot of different iterations of your style of poetry to get to where you are now. So do you want to talk about that kind of movement, that journey to where you're getting to go?
Yeah, for sure. So I've always been interested in photography, since I was a kid. I remember I had an interview with Void magazine recently, and they actually called me a kaleidoscopic creative, and I love that because it's really nice because
that's going in the description.
I love that. But it's really nice because I feel like my work is ever changing and adapting, and it has gone through a lot of iterations. So I kind of started off taking photos when my friend's dad gave me his old like DSLR camera.
Oh, lovely.
But I started off taking photos of. I'd make these like when all the other kids were out like drinking and smoking. I was at home making sandwiches and throwing them in midair, trying to capture photos in midair. And like that's how I started my photographic journey. I'd have portraits of my friend, and she'd be sitting there very blasé before I knew Photoshop existed, and I'd have all these sandwiches floating around her. So
It's beautiful.
yeah. But when I started getting into music photography, when my friend's band Monkey needed new press shots, and my friend Zach, he's amazing. He's in a few bands now. He's in a band called Skinner and Lil Sis, and they're amazing. But yeah, he needed press shots, so he just asked me to go down to their rehearsal studio and take press shots, and ever since then I've been doing like press shots.
That's
for
amazing.
musicians. Yeah.
And how would you describe your style, like where you've ended up now? Because like maybe that'll change in a while, but where are you at in your creative journey now?
That's a really interesting question, because I feel like as an artist, I have like my own art that I will never show the world. That's like my own personal projects. But at the moment, I kind of work as like this is probably a bad way of describing it, but it's like a medium between the music and poetry and like visual world. I feel like I have a visual brain, so people come to me and just say like, this is the vibe that I want for my new album, or my EP cover, or like my press shots, and then I kind of create work for them. But my own personal style, I'd say, is very like colorful, and I use a lot of analog film. I have 36 cameras, so
oh my god,
it's really hard to like.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. That shows like such a deep like appreciation for the art, I guess. If you have, because I wouldn't tell if you had a camera. I don't know what that looks like. Do you know what I mean? Like the different ones, but so that you have 36 different ones for, I guess, different situations.
Yeah, like one really cool one that I have is a modified camera that I modified myself. It's a Canon camera, and I took it apart and I took the infrared and UV sensors off the camera. So now you can isolate any spectrum of light with filters. So I can pick up like infrared light or UV
amazing.
light. So I did a shoot recently with a band called Geological Postal Service.
Dope.
Because it's like post rock.
Okay.
Very funny. And we used UV light, and the photos are crazy. So the sky goes orange, and plants kind of go blue. It's really, really cool.
I would have to check it out. Absolutely. Amazing. So let's talk a little bit to you both about Dublin's Finest, because I'm really interested in this. So it started off as Emmett O'Brien's baby so many years ago. I was trying to scroll back, but it seems like it's kind of existed forever. And it began as just a poetry night, and now it's kind of a melange, if you will.
A melange.
A melange.
Yes.
You'll have that one for free.
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, so as far I was looking at that as well. It's going back years. And obviously he entrusted us with it, and he said it to us about making sure Julie stays on as the creative director. Well, he said stay on as the ask her to make the posters, and I was like, no, she needs to be more than that,
front and center.
Yeah, because I just want her kind of creativity pulled across it. Like, you check out her Instagram, loads of fans, everything to go in it. So I just wanted that to be like the aesthetic of Dublin's Finest. But yeah, it started off poetry, and then obviously we got a few musicians in. The first one I was thinking, because we were even saying to ourselves, like, I'd love to get like magicians and everything on, just something that's like Dublin's Finest.
Yeah,
like, I don't think we had a comedian on yet. I'd love to get one of them. We had the closest was Leanne Bickerdike, so she's in that film Dublin Crust now, and she got on and done like a short story. It was deadly, wasn't it? But that's what I'm saying. It's just anything that's the best in Dublin, we want to just put it out there.
Yeah,
just. If they want to entertain, we want to find people to be entertained by it. Yeah. And I think Sinead downstairs is the best location for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what does it mean, creative director? Like, what does that like, what is your creative direction is my question.
That's a good question.
That is a really good question. I suppose, like, I think Jimbo gave me the name of creative director because I would go to them, like, so we kind of do it as a passion project. You know, it's like we don't make any money from it or anything. And the idea behind the night would be to give artists a platform, artists who may not have performed before, like, and been paid for their performance. So so it's like a tenner in, and then we give all of that money to the artists who perform.
Yeah.
So I was spending a lot of time like taking photos, editing, like making videos, making posters, and just kind of putting a lot of like my love and heart into it. And then I think Jimbo gave me the name of creative director to kind of just um kind of just like acknowledge that, you know.
Yeah.
Not just be poster maker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it allows you for more scope, right, to try and kind of develop things as go, which I love, because you can see how it's developed over time from like just, it felt like something that, was just kind of put on ad hoc to something that's a lot more created and curated and more. But what I love, for me, one of my favorite things about it is that you put artists front and center, right? It's pay on the door, money goes to the artist, and you put in every captions like support the art scene, support each other, and support creativity in Dublin. And I think that's just so important to have something that's just front and center in your kind of message.
Yeah.
Artists need support. Let's do it.
Exactly. So I think it's really important to acknowledge that like the artists and poets' work is important, you know?
Yeah.
And like some of these artists this may be their first gig ever getting paid
Mhm.
for a gig.
Was
Is your
yours?
first
Yeah,
gig
it was the
getting
first gig ever getting paid. Yeah.
Amazing.
So I went to the Flow show, seen Emma O'Brien at it, and he came up to me at the end and he was saying, "Oh, do you want to do it?" And I knew about him before he knew about me, obviously.
Yeah.
And I was a bit shocked. I was like, I can't believe he's actually asked me to do this. And I went there and I was thinking as well, like everyone's already heard all these poems, so I'll just do a couple of random ones. The night I don't know, okay, but I could have done better. But at the end of the night, he gave me like a score, and I was like, this is the first time I'm being paid to do poetry. This is crazy. So it's a nice feeling being able to pay people. So that's why we like getting people in the door, being able to pay them. And the step that we went beyond that, we also record the gigs now.
Oh, amazing.
So then I just send out the link to all the individual artists. So if you check the likes of Basil Breen and Phil Kenny's YouTube, they have the whole sets on there.
That's brilliant. Yeah. I mean, it is one of those things. I remember a friend of mine got a couple of euro for doing a comedy gig, and even though it was a small amount, it means so much, right? Because it's like, whoa, I just got paid for something, and it shows you're valued, even if it's something small. It's like you're valued enough for me to figure this out and give you something that And I think that's so beautiful, and I think as well, like, it's exactly what you said, right? I think we can take for granted in Ireland and in Dublin, because there's so many of us, right?
Yeah.
We can kind of take for granted, we turn up to a bar and there's music on, or we can turn up on Eventbrite or on lastminateCrack.com and there's gigs going on, right? But like those people put so much time in. Poetry takes so much drafting and all this stuff, and then to be able to perform it in the way that poets do, that's a lot of time, right? So I think that's something that I love about you guys, is that you're putting them on the pedestal that they deserve, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you want an exclusive?
Go ahead, I'd love an exclusive.
There's now a Dublin's Finest YouTube channel.
Oh, congratulations.
So there's nothing on there yet.
Subscribe.
But I'm going to reach out to everyone that's been on there and just pick like a snippet of their bits.
I love it.
Do post about all their kind of socials, just because it's one thing getting paid. It's great being able to have the exposure as well and being able to help with that. So even the pictures that Julie just take with all the nice looking graphics around it. I think it's great that they have that then that they can use for upcoming gigs for themselves.
Absolutely. I mean, content is king in the end of the day, and like to be able to promote yourself. And that's why we started Last Minute Crack, right? Is because we saw that there was so much talent with not a big marketing budget. You can see all these like big bands and everything, and they're phenomenal. But when you don't have money, or like budget or time even, that I felt like we were losing out on seeing so much. And so like that's where we started off, where we wanted to give a platform that was free for people to use to kind of promote themselves. And that's grown so much since then. But I think, being able to have those clips and having a night where you're like, like we've all been it, right? Where we've gone up on stage and it's like, that was so good. I wish I recorded that, know? And you have that for them, which is beyond, like, that's just amazing, I think. Brilliant. How are we doing on time? We're still good? Okay, brilliant. I loads of stuff.
Do you want more merch?
Yeah.
He's an endless stream of merch.
So I don't know what size these are. They're just last two.
Oh, you have t-shirts. What don't you have?
I'm just trying to upgrade and just trying to level up.
I'm not going to put this on camera. Thank you, though. That's amazing. Oh, and you guessed that I'm a medium. Love that about you. What were you going to say, Julie?
Oh, I was just gonna say, sometimes I feel like it's hard to like break through into the industry as well.
Absolutely.
And I think it's really nice, like just having a community around it. So I'd like to mention some of the other open mic nights as well.
Go for it.
So there's Circle Sessions, which is in the International Bar.
Absolutely.
So that's like a really nice place to go if you haven't performed before, or if you're practicing, or if you want to just get up on the stage. Roisin and Seamus run that, and they are absolute legends.
Legends.
They had their 10-year anniversary just there.
Happy anniversary.
Yay! And then there's Juno Beats, and that's one that I help out with as well. With Ned, of course. He's an absolute legend. So that's a very wholesome space. It's really inclusive, and it's really nice if you like. It's a really nice kind of bridge way if you've been like writing poetry at home and you've never performed before. It's like bridging that gap. Because there's a little stage, and there's two performers who are booked for the night. The rest of it is an open mic, and if you're say too nervous to get on the stage, they do, like Ned does this beautiful thing where halfway through the night he puts all the chairs and tables in a circle. It's called Circle Time. He puts candles in the middle, and it's like storytelling, and you can just sit down and say your poem, maybe if you're too afraid to speak in front of an audience. And it's just amazing seeing like people who may have like been too afraid to perform, and then like going to all the open mic nights, and then like suddenly they're playing Dublin's Finest, and they're just like absolutely slaying. Like
it's amazing.
Yeah, the progression is crazy. It's really good. And then there's Smithfield Creatives on a Thursday.
Shout out Adam Kelly.
There's a new open mic night in Chennai. It's more like a jam session though. So I think Chris wants to eventually set up like a band playing, and then like people can come up and sing.
Oh, I love that.
If you don't have a band and you want it. So there's loads of
Sam's Collective as well, the LGBTQ plus open mic night. They do amazing work over there. I think I've seen just the production quality of what they do is phenomenal. I see all the pictures afterwards. It's like, whoa, it's amazing.
I must make it out to that.
Yeah, same. We can go together.
Yeah, let's do it. I love that.
So I'm really interested. What's spinning around in my head is something that you just said, where it's like you don't have to be a creative or an artist or something like this to go to these nights, right? I think it's really important to talk to potential audiences, right? Because as much as it's important to have somebody on the stage, having people in the audience is so... I think I remember learning about theaters, like there's no performance without an audience. You can stand up there, but if nobody sees it, what's the point?
Yeah.
So I think it's so beautiful in the way that, you've kind of talked about how, everybody can turn up. And I think that's really important for Dublin's Finest, right? That it's for everyone.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything. All you have to do, rock up with your tenor and sit down.
And enjoy. 2 hours of pure enjoyment. The one in February, wasn't it? The one in February where Emma O'Brien was actually headlining. That's been the most packed that has been so far.
Yeah.
The people are standing at the back at some stages. And it's just the buzz when that little room is full of people. And he was great that night as well.
There's a musician called Hannah McGinn playing, and she's very quiet. And like you could hear a pin drop in the room, even though there was like 40 people. It was so nice to have a crowd that listens.
That's beautiful.
So intently. Yeah. It was gorgeous. Yeah. And we actually had a night during the riots, which wasn't ideal. So no one really showed up, but I still had one of the best nights ever. Joe Skylark and the Globe's Sharks. Yeah.
Yeah, because Julie texted us that day and she's like, "Do you want to still go ahead with this?" It was the day after the riots.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, we can't just...
a lot of people cancelled,
But we did message all the artists individually and made sure that they were comfortable going. And
that's good,
and everyone wanted to, so we went ahead with it.
Definitely go ahead with it.
I love that.
That's actually great.
I remember the vibe after that, right after the riots, where it was like some people wanted to stay home and feel safe in their own homes, and that's so important and completely respected. But there also, from certain individuals, was this like quiet rage and like absolutely not, like this fury of, you're not going to take my city from me. And I think a lot of people put things on regardless in protest of what had happened, because it's like, I'm not going to let you make this not beautiful. I'm not going to let you take the beauty of Dublin away from me. I'm putting this on in spite of you.
That's kind of what it was
And
like,
I thought
wasn't
that
it?
was very beautiful.
That's what I felt. But that's what that night was a special one as well.
Amazing.
Yeah, we took December off, and then the triumph return then. Yeah, it's been great so far, hasn't it? So we have the next show is at the Easter Sunday.
Oh, okay.
So we have one person set up for that already, and it's great that like I was getting texts off people. Like as soon as like before I even knew I was going to be the host, asking, "Oh, what's the story? Is there any gigs going?" And we're still getting texts like that. We just need to kind of siphon through them.
Yeah.
And see what kind of works out. Like people from all around the country are reaching out.
I love it.
And because it's kind of funded just from the tickets, it's kind of we can't bring people down from Donegal.
Well, not yet.
We have someone coming over from Paris on the 31st.
We do, yeah.
Oh, phenomenal.
Amazing.
And it's international.
Well.
Yeah, someone from Canada.
We're getting international over here. Yeah, world's finest. It's not Jimbo, it's Mr. Worldwide. No. I know we're having to wrap up in a little bit, and I just wanted to talk to you before we do. And I guess my question to kind of wrap up is, if you could talk to a potential performer or potential audience member who's like looking around and looking at Dublin's finest, like what's your message that you want to get out there to that person?
Do you want to take this?
Yeah, sure. So like I think Dublin Finest kind of like embodies like the creative scene in Dublin. And it just makes like all the performers feel important. It might be their first paid gig, as I said before. But I think it's just like a really nice, wholesome, inclusive space for people to feel safe in performing. And yeah, also like, I mean, everyone who's performed so far has absolutely killed it as well.
Yeah.
I think the crazy thing about Dublin, like, because I'm not a poet or a performer, but I find that there's so much talent in Dublin. It's insane.
It really is.
It's like big fish in a small pond. So sometimes we'll have someone on at Dublin's Finest, and I'm just like thinking, like, gosh, this person should be playing in front of like hundreds of people.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just I think it's just really important to have these spaces and continue like nurturing people through their creative career.
Absolutely.
Because people need support, and like you'll go to these nights and you'll meet people who will support you. And like actually Luke Clerkin runs a songwriting circle.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so important if you're creating, if you're making poetry or music, to have people to talk to, bounce ideas off, and also just for self-care.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think that could have been. I don't think that could have been said better. That's beautiful, Julie. Thank you so much. All right, let's time for promo. It's promo time.
It's promo time.
Where can people find you, and what you want to plug?
So my personal account is at pizza_egg. Dublin's Finest is dublins.finest. Juno Beats is Juno Beats 2023. We need to update that. And your
Jimbo's my name. All one word. Yeah.
One word.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much to both of you for making it in on a cold, wet Sunday morning.
It's lovely.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and I can't wait to just see where you guys go. I'm so excited. So thank you so much.
Thanks again for having us.
Thanks so much for having us. It's great.
It's great.